Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters on Olentangy River Road in beautiful Columbus, Ohio, home of the 9-0 undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes, the top-ranked team in the college football playoff rankings.
Hey!
And they are victors again on the road over Rutgers, 35-16. Great teams do what, Bob? What is it? I can't remember.
Great teams cover.
They cover.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. And, you know, it's amazing. Like, Vegas might know a thing or two. I mean, last week, the spread was 14.5. They were at 14. This week, it was 18.5, and they just came in right there at 19. Doing his best James Franklin impersonation, Ryan Day. Made sure he got that.
Covering, trying to keep up with.
But what else are you going to do? They're on the 5-yard line. Like, what are you going to do? Take a knee and just kick a field goal? Like,
punch it in. Get your confidence. Throw it out to the Heisman Trophy.
Throw it to Marv. See if you can do it.
That's Justin Zwick. This is Bobby Carpenter. Nicole Cox. We are back at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. And it's going to be a fun, casual conversation. Getting ready. All right, 2 weeks on the road for the Buckeyes. You can tell that some of the wear and tear has gained on this team. They're beat up, having some injuries. They were pretty depleted in the secondary by the end of that game on Saturday at Rutgers, Bob. So
Malik Hartford
having to
appearance.
step in. Jermaine Matthews playing with Denzel Burke out. Josh Proctor left in the second half of that game. Lathan Ransom trying to come back. You had Cade Stover out. Now, you know, that's Penn State, Wisconsin on the road, and Rutgers on the road. 2 at home against some teams that Ohio State should beat, starting against Michigan State. I think maybe more than anything, the Buckeyes just get a little healthy before the end of the month.
You get worried because you're taking on the 1-0 November Michigan State Spartans.
Oh.
Okay.
1-0.
November's in the month of November.
For contenders, baby.
November is for contenders.
Right.
Okay. Well, they're not that, but
That's what I thought we were going to go with after that win. November's for contenders. You get your first November win.
They did. The best part about going 9-0, well, that's a chance to go 10-0. Austin, we'll hit the cliche Play-Doh factory and just crank it out. But this is really what you play all season for, is to get to this point and to be in a relevant title race. And so Ohio State has set themselves up. They went through the meat of the schedule. And I don't know if you thought, and you knew Penn State, but then Wisconsin, and no one really knew the Shiano man, and he would have those guys greased up and ready to play. Like, I'll tell you this, they can run the football and they can play defense.
They sure can. They were number 9 total defense in the country going into last week.
And they have some good corners. Like, their corners are long. They had a good scheme. They've got a good system. Their guys are disciplined. They're going to bleed the clock down inside of 10 seconds every time they snap it.
100%.
So they have the ball for 35 minutes, trying to limit it, but they're going to run a fumble Rooskies, just straight up little giants right there. And I give Greg credit.
Like, he's going to bring something, right?
of Puerto Rico.
I was talking to the guys, they're going to run the football a lot, and he's going to have something. I didn't know. I thought maybe reverse on a punt or something.
I think special teams.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, 4th and 1. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a special teams. You know,
I thought maybe call. Like a flea flicker. You get like a 3rd and short midfield. You know, he hits a flea flicker. The fumble Rooski was not in the selection set. But I will say this. This is what I'm impressed with this defense. That was the longest play they've given up all year, I believe. 40-plus yards. Both Rutgers and Ohio State hadn't done that. Both of them then relinquished that title. But they got them down. Like, you know, this is one of these things. You look at all the goal line, the red zone stands they've had. They keep if you just tackle them and force teams to run more plays, when you have a defense this good, you're going to get some stops. And there's a big difference, as we saw in the game, 9 versus 21, because you could get those stops ultimately inside the 10-yard line. Josh Proctor had an unbelievable series where I think he had 3 of the ones in a row.
Second quarter.
Oh, yeah.
He was bringing it.
So we'll get to the injuries in a minute, but man, the defense, it reminded me of the San Diego State game where San Diego State in 2003. They were driving, and you know who their quarterback is the old head coach for the Vikings right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, O'Donnell. Yeah, Neil O'Donnell.
Not Neil, but
Jerry O'Connell.
Oh yeah, O'Connell.
We'll get there.
Anyhow,
O'Connell.
Yeah.
Put the ER on the end.
Samsonite. I was way.
But they were literally they were driving in. It was Craig's worst game. I think he was like 9 of 21. We watched Shawshank Redemption. It started at 11 o'clock that night. Finished it at like 3:30.
That's a good game for
Mark. Tress never roomed me with him again. Wait, Bob, you've never seen this? No, I haven't. Oh, I had no idea it was 3.5, 4 hours long on TV.
With commercials?
With commercials. And, but they were driving in. It was 10-6. They're on like the 5-yard line. They throw an interception to Will Allen in the end zone. Darian Scott sprints ahead, cuts off O'Connor, as Justin put it. And Will Allen takes like 103 back to a touchdown. Final score of the game, 13-10, Buckeyes win.
Yeah.
If they score there, we have zero chance of scoring enough points to win that game. Their defense was good. They had a couple NFL guys. But that had that feeling where, hey, rise up. The man Jordan Herbie Hancock making a play. Proctor keeping it alive. Yep. Someone in the booth trying to allocate targeting to him on that call, which I don't even understand.
Then, like a series later, they do target us, and the guy doesn't say a word about it. I'm sitting there like, I'm taking crazy pills.
How about that's a great point. That's a Buckeye leaf to skip ahead a little bit, I guess. But Josh Proctor answering the bell when it had to be done against Maryland and turning that game around, and then coming up and making that big hit to set up Jordan Hancock for the pick six on Saturday.
And you said you wished he was going to leave after the year. I think last year you said, I hope he doesn't take his last year.
There's never been a single
Why
person.
did Ryan Day give him this sixth year?
Why would they bring him back?
Bobby, don't tell people lies when everyone knows Josh Proctor's greatest advocate for the last 7 years is sitting in this seat right here. Don't even start with that. All right.
Goodness.
Jay-Z, how'd you feel on Saturday?
Felt better at the end of the game than I did at halftime.
Like shots of fireball.
Golly, we start out. I was thinking about on the way down here. Like Kyle started out strong in the last couple games. First 11 I think he had.
11 for 11.
So I think like we go into these games with these scripted plays. Like, hey, this is what we're going into this with, and he comes out and he's on fire. And then it's like there's always that lull in the second quarter where it's like, all right, we ran those. We're done with that now. Let's call some plays. What are they doing? And we can't figure it out. And then the second half, it always seems to come and he gets better as the game goes on. So it was just one of those. That second quarter was ugly from the whatever that punt was. The interception to, with the fumble Ruski, but it was just amazing because every time they got down inside in the red zone, you're like, all right, that's 3 points. If they make the field goal, because you just have that confidence in the defense and they played strong, and that was them on the field a lot in that first half. In the red zone, inside the 5-yard line for how many plays? Probably 10 to 12 plays there in that second quarter.
The ball for 35 minutes in the game.
So, that's incredible, but you have that feeling of, all right, we're going to give up 3 here, and that's fine, and we'll be okay.
Is it 18 to 12 in the first half?
No.
The time possession?
No, yeah.
Was that what I wanted?
It flipped in the second quarter. Rutgers had it pretty much the entirety. Yeah. That's because you had the 3rd and 7 drop there by G. Scott. You talked about the ugly stretch there.
That's tough. G. Scott had a great catch. He had a great catch.
He had two of them. He had two. He also had the one where he fought for the first down.
Yeah.
Yep. But then he had maybe 40 yards in front of him.
I feel bad for Kyle because I feel like Kyle's gotten robbed.
It gets compounded. It's like he has one of those, and then he has like 2 bad balls. And then it's like all of a sudden we're 3 or 4 in a row. We don't have completions on.
Marv dropped one. There was one where Marv was wide open.
The last 3 or 4 games
it gets tipped at the line of scrimmage. Like there's just been some
those little things.
Crap. Like it
stinks for him, but he battles through it. And that's the thing you love about the kid is he just doesn't care. Like he'll go throw a ball in the ground and then throw a laser 19 yards downfield where it's like you didn't care about that last play. You know, and that's how as a quarterback you got to just do that. We're moving on. What's next? What can we do better? Every second half, next play mentality.
Next play.
He gets better as the game goes, and the offense does as well.
Yeah. Tell me more about that next play mentality.
Yeah, let's hear about it,
Nicole.
Well, I learned it from good old Ryan Miller.
Yep.
Used to play for the Buckeyes. What year?
92 to 96.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
One of the greatest coaches of all time in life.
Probably the greatest youth coach of all time.
Youth coach and just in life in general. Yeah. Just a great person, but just being able, and I think that even in life, I sometimes have to tell myself that on like when I'm working, okay, just focus on the next thing. It's over. There's nothing you can do about it at this moment. You can reflect back on it later to learn to become better, but you cannot fog up your brain thinking about a play that you can't change.
Jay-Z wants the chips. I can't give him the chips at the stores.
Oh, the chips.
But the next time that catering is available, maybe you'll be able to get chips.
I agree. Catering has the chips.
Sorry that the last time there was an event, Jay-Z wasn't there, and Bob reaped the benefits. That's just the way it goes.
But Bob didn't invite us, so we didn't
get the chips. That is very big, yeah.
So, but
he knew. He was like, I'm ordering. He probably talked to Nicole after the show one day. It was like, I got a big party. Ordering a lot of food. Need the chips. None of you are being invited.
And she said, did you at least tell Jay-Z that he could come pick up a to-go bag?
I'm going to bring it. She probably threw a to-go bag in there for Bob. Yeah. Give it to him on Monday.
Well,
we ate all the chips.
Those animals ate all the chips.
Oh, we will eat all. If you have the chips at your house, my family will eat all the chips.
Put them in a toaster oven, reheat them a little bit.
So
they're so good.
Okay, guys, I'll keep
Anyhow,
working on that. I'll keep working on that.
Don't
project.
fog your brain up. On to the next. On to the next,
Next play
Nicole.
I do worry about that.
I can't wait
do.
until I can have chips again. Oh my God.
But but no, next play. I just think it's so important, and I know Kyle does a way better job than I could ever do with that. So
Most people.
I mean, that's why I really do see him pick himself up, and when you really are like, "Ooh, I'd be really nervous right now because you're newer," it's just, and I feel like he's handling himself the best that can be expected, So, and we're winning. We have to remember that we are winning. We're undefeated.
Seems like a pretty good stat.
What's amazing is that him, CJ, Justin, even like JT Barrett, like all of the guys that we've had that have played quarterback through the last crew of guys, Cardell probably excluded, they're very like level, below average, like energy guys. And I say it like not in a negative way. Like they don't respond over what, like they're perfect next play guys. Because me, when I have a bad play, I compound it with two more worse ones because I try to like correct everything.
I can see that.
It's a bad situation, Nicole. It's probably my worst trait in the world. So I try to fix things by making it worse, and then make it worse. Where those guys is like, like you always say they don't show enough emotion. Which honestly, like you want some of that, but as he'll tell you, like it's a position where next play needs to happen because you could get
More
mad.
than any other
Your guy dropped the ball, like. You could go over there and yell at him for it, but that's not going to help the situation. It's like he can't go back and re-catch it. He wanted to catch the ball.
Or when you throw a bad ball, he's not coming to you yelling at you for throwing a bad ball. It's like, all right, you just have to have that, and it's what you grow up with. I mean, guys mostly are quarterbacks at a young age, and they just deal with it, and you just got to know.
You do. I mean, I look at just watching my son play in youth sports, how crazy parents can be about these kids in those positions, and it's just so sad. You're like, first of all, we're not even playing for a trophy here, guys. This is like school sports, but to see these kids have all of that pressure on them. And it is nice to see sometimes the kids that just shake it off and move on to the next play. That's what makes them great. I think if you're a quarterback.
To have Ryan Miller as a coach at a young age.
You should. I mean, everybody should wish.
Hey,
for
Bronson, don't worry about it. What's the most important play? Next play, guys. Here we go. But like you tell the kids that, like, it'll be okay.
He is. And it's the truth. I mean, that's, I think, the number one thing about what can make these guys a great player is focusing on the next play.
But there's a lot of proof out there for him at this point that even if you hit rough stretches, and almost all of them have been in the first halves of games, that he can figure it out, that he doesn't go in the tank about it. When he threw the pick, you didn't see him sulking on the sideline, or I didn't. I was watching him, and I know that there are people out there that want him to show more emotion and be more fiery, but guess what? They said the same thing about CJ Stroud.
Yep.
I mean,
and I don't know if you guys know, but he's doing amazing.
He is?
Is anybody aware of
A
that?
resident Texans fan over here.
Yeah. I thought maybe Nicole
Did they win
had something
yesterday,
to add to that.
Nicole?
Oh, yes, they won.
Okay.
Nicole, tell me about the range of emotions you experienced from about 1:30 in that game to the end of the game.
30 seconds left.
Well, I was just going off of hearing Bronson screaming because Mark had the TVs outside, and he was just jumping up and down. I thought
Normal
the
November
deck was
stuff
gonna break.
in Columbus to be watching outside.
And then I was, getting the Christmas tree ready. And then I was like,
You're
oh my
sicko.
gosh. And then I stopped to make sure to watch the running back kick the field goal because I was like, what is happening? It was just, I don't know. I'm just so proud of CJ, and I am so excited he's on the Texans.
You know what you need to be really proud of is that you have a very intelligent coach, D'Amico Ryans. He's Jay-Z and I's age. He came out in my draft class. And they're having a running back kick because their kicker went down. He should go down. Mario Cristobal should go sit with him and say, "Hey, they're up by 2. The extra point would put them up by 3. There's 1 second left." I had to explain to my son. He's like, "But they could kick a field goal." I'm like, "If he could make a 70-yarder, they could tie it. But literally, unless they fair catch the ball, that's the only way that they could do that." But if they block the extra point and run it back, should they go for 2? If they intercept it and return it, that would tie the game. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to hit the knee right here. We're going to situationally win this game. You know what? And maybe it hurts our conversion rate for 2-point conversions, but nobody cares because we won the game.
It's refreshing to see coaches get that right.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard at first. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, because
I got 5 seconds.
Plus, because you have a running back kicking your, even more so than normal. There's a lot of things that could have went wrong.
I didn't know that at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Because I tuned in at it and I'm just like, what just happened?
Put your team in the best position to win the game. That is the coach's job. So kudos to that. And you are going to go see CJ again in person. Is that correct?
I'm going to the game on Sunday. Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Is that in Houston or is that in Indy?
Cincy.
Oh, Cincy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even better. There you go.
Berm wants his team to win, but
It's okay.
You
can slash Berm's tires and make sure he
don't
doesn't
even get to the game.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. His team got a win last night. Okay, let him.
They're fine. The Texans never win. They're they're like one of the worst teams in the league.
CJ Stroud said you have a right to be proud. What did he say? Texans fans have a right to be proud. They have a right to be happy.
They deserve.
They deserve.
They do
to be happy.
So do Buckeyes fans, and they should be.
They should be
with
happy.
a 9-0 record going into Week 10 here against Michigan.
To be honest,
State.
9-7 didn't feel that great though.
I understand.
No,
I was watching. I was hoping
everything that could go wrong.
I was driving to the airport. I was thinking, we'll stay till halftime. It'll be like 24-6 by then. The game will be at hand. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Thankfully, while we were getting gas before we returned the rental car, coach's like, they just intercepted it. They're running it back. I was like, who is they? Ohio State. Yes, great, awesome. Thank you for that. Because now at least I know that we won't give the lead back. Like we're good.
Yeah, and they did not. So we can start with a Buckeye leaf that I think we can all agree on, which was Josh Proctor and Jordan Hancock. But I don't know what else Nicole has in that notebook.
I again super impressed with Travion Henderson.
Of course,
he just had 128 rushing, 80 receiving, and then he had that catch and run, 65-yard run that basically sealed the deal for the game. And also, too, like Sonny Styles, I just feel just a great versatile player. Having to play the different, with Ransom being Lathan Ransom. I was mixing the names. Is that what we're doing this week?
It's a long year.
Yeah, and then Proctor going out, and it just I just like watching him this year. I just think he's really stepped up when we've needed him.
Okay. It's a great one because if you look at that, Sonny is really the only guy who hasn't played a lot. I mean, he played a lot in this Peach Bowl last year. But he went from being beside two other safeties that had a combined 10 years of college experience between the two of them to now all of a sudden, hey, dude, you're the veteran guy back there. You have a true freshman, in Malik Hartford beside you. Get them lined up and get it figured out. And you know what? It's a testament to Lathan. Sonny's been hanging around him a lot. And, you got to coach your replacement. And that's part of the culture, like the brotherhood. Like you're coaching the guys because your legacy is how well those guys play when you're gone. Like, are you getting them ready to go? And Lathan's an incredibly smart player, really diligent young man. You would love him. He's an awesome kid.
Yes.
And he's done a great job with Sonny. Sonny's just absorbed it all. And you saw those guys step up. And Malik has been great too. And they both went in there and played really well. Trey's awesome because that check down. Yeah. There's nothing better. He outran the angle. And I was like, all right, first down. And then he
didn't just outrun it. He erased the angle.
Well, but then he was able to turn the corner without slowing down. It was remarkable. I was almost amazed that he got caught in the open field after that happened. But I'm going to give one to my man, Tommy Eichenberg, and Cody Simon. Cody had a season high, 9 tackles. And then Steele played well. Tommy breaks his elbow didn't really break it, but
he had the biggest bag of ice that I've ever seen in my life.
It's got a big arm. It'll put a lot of stuff on there, but he had 12 tackles and trying to, I think, get back in the game afterwards and no, you can't go back out there. And by the way, those guys have worked with Cody and they've played Cody more, and you know what? So when they had to play him and Steele together, boom, awesome. And it looked good, and both of those guys played well. And there's a decent chance that might be the lineup this week, but you feel good about it because those guys have played, and they played a lot. So now it's, hey, James, I told him you get to earn your massive paycheck now. What are they paying James? $2 million a year? They get to earn his check, making sure that CJ Hicks and Gabe
Fleming's giving him some of his money.
I sure hope so.
But making sure those young guys are ready should something else happen. So I'm going to give – I don't even know where I was going with that. My Buckeye
you just
leaf.
gave it to the linebackers.
To Tommy. To Tommy and the linebacking crew with what they were able to do.
Which is fair. I mean, I think you could give those guys one. All the safeties, I think. I mean, the whole year, I think they've played solid. I mean, they've been down in there wrecking things at the line of scrimmage at times and just doing great in the back end as well. I mean, Trey was going to be my guy just because I think these last 2 weeks he's been the difference maker.
Because Justin loves a check down that goes down for 65 yards in the stat sheet.
Who doesn't like? What quarterback doesn't like that?
Looks great in the box score, baby.
But I'll tell you, he's just been he's really been that guy for us the last 2 weeks, and on the road, against Wisconsin, a tough team, and then Rutgers isn't Rutgers anymore. I mean, I think they have a decent team.
They've got their S. They are Rutgers.
Yes, so I mean, a good defense going against them, and Trey was the difference maker for us, and I hope he can stay healthy because we're going to need him here towards the end of the year.
He looks fresh.
He looks so fresh.
The fact that he was out for, was it 5 games, 4 weeks,
he missed 3 games.
Yeah, but it's 4 because he had the bye week.
Yeah.
And I mean, he looks like a dude that has fresh legs. He's fast anyway, but he looks like he's on a different speed. So hopefully he can keep that little burst mode going.
I said that leaving the stadium on Saturday. It was like, you would have thought that the must-have situation was Penn State. And if he wasn't, if he's not going to be able to play through that, or when is an emergency situation for Travion Henderson in Ohio State, but keeping him, they got through it, and now you have the clear silver lining of this guy looks as fresh and healthy as he has really at any point since he's been at Ohio State, maybe since right in that first month of the freshman year, but then he got banged up in the middle of that and had, a couple different things going on, and then we all know what happened last year, so we may have never seen a version of Trey quite like this.
Where he's as healthy and feeling as good as he is. I mean, it's fun to watch, no doubt about it. I wish I don't know. Do you feel like he takes a lot of big shots at the end of his runs?
Oh, he was leaning into
dudes. Where he's going to give the shot.
Because Austin keeps calling him soft. Austin's been calling him soft on here for years. He's not soft
by any means. He tries to get the contact.
Like
maybe it was you, Nicole.
I would never say anything.
But sometimes I just wish he wouldn't do that.
People out there that thought that he was not tough enough, and
he's
even
trying
going back
to
to his
prove
freshman
that
year, I remember him taking blitz pickups. I'm like, what are you doing?
He'll throw himself into somebody, but he usually takes the brunt of the hit.
And he took a big one on Saturday like that, trying to finish a run that way. And I'm like, hey, bud,
we don't need that.
Lion Williams is out.
Yeah, dude, you just
got
run out of
back,
bounds.
Calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. Maybe bring the hurdle.
I'm glad, I thought about that. I'm like, man, he takes a lot of shots.
And so does Chip. Those guys are not afraid
they
of contact.
They find contact is what they do.
That's it. Ty Hamilton never comes up in the conversation for as many stats.
He got a sack.
I know he did. Well, I'm bringing him up right now.
Yeah,
okay. All right,
there you go.
He had 6 tackles. I believe he finished with 6 tackles and 1 sack. The one that really was the final nail in the coffin there for Rutgers. He didn't make it happen solely on his own, but he does a lot of thankless, dirty work in the trenches there. And Tyleik Williams has taken on so many snaps this year and such a heavy volume of the workload, and really done great with that. He's earned
great,
it,
yeah.
and but you don't want to wear him out too much probably in the next 2 weeks. I would advocate Bob for maybe a little bit of rotation and defensive tackle. We'll see. You know how much I love that for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
You said you wanted 4 guys to play the whole game. Starting 4.
I thought it was 4 rotate every play.
No.
Some happy medium. And then Mike Hall has such a high ceiling. We talk about those 2 guys all the time, but Ty Hamilton is the one that I think on a play-in, play-out basis for the last couple of years, you just know what you're going to get. He doesn't get the spotlight, doesn't ask for the spotlight, doesn't want the spotlight, but he got that huge play at the end there with the sack and then had the other 6 tackles against a team that the defensive tackles had to hold up. The Rutgers, really all they wanted to do was get you out of gaps and try and attack you with the running game, and you know that Ty Hamilton's going to be in the right place, and he was.
Did a good job. It was great to see. Honestly, the D-line deserves one too because it's a lot of reps. It's a lot of running, and they held up. They held up pretty well. I mean,
and we're towards the end of season.
Yeah, those guys have played a lot of snaps, and you're getting physically beaten up. So you look like they have the fumble Rooski, but outside of that, I mean, they had some explosive ones, but they held the point more often than not, which was key.
You're gonna have to do it again against Michigan State. You don't get to stop.
Maybe not quite as aggressive.
Not quite the same. All right.
Yeah,
but it is a primetime game.
They're coming off a win. They got a lot of
juice.
Momentum. They've got as much juice as these mac and cheese bites. It's an appetizer. 3's Day event. A spectacular. You know what? If you ever needed to eat mac and cheese and you don't have any utensils, mac and cheese bites, they're the answer. They have delicious sour cream dipping spots.
Favorite.
$3. Berm's favorite too.
Berm likes to put the hot sauce on there.
He puts the hot sauce. He sweats out of his eyes.
Dabs it.
That.
I think Slags drowns them in ketchup. But
see, that's why
Slags doesn't leave him around long enough.
That's why those 2 have to go head to head. I want to see their different.
We have been talking about that for years,
and they
won't do it
to show it down.
And you know what? There's still 3 opportunities left, Austin. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I'd like to hear
There's the
about
Roosters Bowl Trip giveaway.
Is that, that's what this is.
12 games.
Ohio State versus question mark.
We don't know yet.
Ooh.
Do we have any
bowl
ideas?
eligible.
Any suspicions?
Well, Nicole, you got to get to the end of the
See, that's the
season. They're gonna be a
problem.
college football playoff
Michigan
team.
had the questions, so they had to allocate their scouting resources to different places.
And they guessed wrong.
guessed
Yes,
wrong.
wrong.
Connor, you should have been down there watching TCU, bud. That's why you're fired today.
Bummer.
3 games left. 3 more
3
opportunities.
chances.
You can go to roosterswings.com, or you can hit that QR code that Austin
On
showed
the
you on the
screen.
napkin, or on the screen. Just take
Yeah.
pictures of it. You can register limitless times. So 3 opportunities. Tickets.
Last week there were
playing-
13 million entries.
13
No,
million.
there were.
Million.
No,
Make
there
sure you don't miss
I love
out.
it.
Be one of the 13 million.
Well, you could register
but
as many times as you
register
want.
Every day you can register once a day. So
Yeah.
register every day.
Perfect.
Every week is a new chance to win.
There you
which
go.
is awesome.
And what do they win, though?
Tickets, airfare, deluxe.
Deluxe accommodations.
Absolutely.
You guys are so good at
What?
That's
It's
amazing.
all there for you.
And you probably get some Roosters gear, too.
You do.
I'm guessing
Swag
that
bag.
is.
Swag bag.
Swag bag.
Love it.
Yes.
Can't
And
beat
you
it.
guys.
You may ask yourself, how do I get one of these unbelievable Roosters quarter zips that Austin has? Well, there might be something similar to that in the swag bag.
Maybe.
There you go.
Nicole doesn't disappoint.
No.
I
She
try
takes
not
care of
to.
people.
It's probably
Pat
already
McAfee likes Roosters too.
I know.
the swag bag is
So
probably already
sweet.
prepared. Probably ordered
They're
it like
done.
6 months ago.
No, we're working on it.
Oh.
We're working on it.
Getting
We just want to make sure it's perfect, because you also have to find out what bags you can take into stadiums. Like Ohio State's different now. You can't take clear bags in.
What?
Yeah.
Only
the
Just a
not
little
clear
mini-
Was it
bags.
like
Only
5 by
clutch
8 or what is
You
bags.
it?
figured
Yeah.
how much swag you can put into a clutch?
Well, I'm just deciding if they need a clutch or the bigger bag. Obviously, when we go on the trip, I take the big clear bag, so there's a little bit of everything in there.
Perfect.
In case somebody needs it.
Well, I'll help you out because there's only 2 places in the playoff that Ohio State could go. So if
Okay.
we get to that point, we'll look at the
figure it
stadium
out.
policies.
Okay.
Don't worry, I got your back on that.
Okay. I'm excited.
Saturday night, Roosters is going to be packed for anyone who can't get into the horseshoe.
Yes.
This will be the place to be.
Or to
And
carry
what
out.
kind of score are they going to see? And there's going to be carry out? Yeah, that's right. If you don't want to be here, which
Yeah. If you're
To
doing
each
something
your
at
own,
home,
yes.
just
Yeah.
order.
catering, sure. Take out. All right. I don't want to force people into here. You're right.
I chose 37-10.
37-10.
I like that score.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Nicole says not a cover this week.
What is the...
30.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
We're averaging like 32
Michigan
a
State
game,
just
aren't
won
we?
their first Big Ten game. So
Fair enough.
They stink.
their coach got fired in the middle of the year. If you
You
didn't
may
know
have
that.
you may have
stinks
heard that
for
they don't
everyone.
have
I think
it.
Is there a
beginning of the
chance that
year.
we could finish
They
the
should have it
season
figured out by now.
with neither one of the Power 5 schools in Michigan having a head coach on the sideline?
I mean, that's a possibility.
Would have been really long odds on that in August, but we're halfway there and maybe past halfway there. We'll see. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in the second half of the show. Anything else on your mind, Nicole?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Veterans Day is this weekend.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're celebrating it or honoring it on Friday.
Well, you
the
celebrate
10th.
you celebrate Veterans Day because they're all alive.
Absolutely.
Pay tribute.
Yes. So we're doing it on Friday. Come in and all veterans can receive a $10 Rooster Buck as a thank
all
you
right.
for their service
Nicely
to our
done,
country.
Roosters.
Like we just,
That's phenomenal.
all servicemen and women.
They had one Friday. RJ brought in my father-in-law. He happened to be up watching the kids while we were gone, and I'm like, and my wife's like, "Hey, you're going in here." And him and Nolan Miller, Ryan's son, they like sat there and they interviewed him and they did this
I
little
love
deal,
that.
and they had a whole host of folks. They made him wear suits. Not my father-in-law, but the boys wore suits, and it was great. I was like, "Good, thank a veteran."
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's the reason we're all here, guys.
That's right.
You know?
If you can read in English, thank a teacher. If you can read, thank a teacher. If you can read in English, thank a veteran.
So that is Friday.
I like that.
Okay.
Friday at all Roosters locations, Nicole?
Yes, Friday.
All right.
Awesome.
Perfect. And then you can follow that up. Maybe save your $10 and use it on Saturday.
Yes, exactly. You can
Perfect.
use it until the end of the month.
There we go.
So-
Perfect solution. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to let Nicole go about with the rest of her day. We're going to bring Berm in, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Ohio State getting ready for Michigan State and wrap up that Rutgers win. At Roosters, it is a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. Berm has arrived.
Hey.
It's great to see you.
Thank you. It's also great to be seen.
It is.
Did you get a good night's sleep last night?
No, he didn't
Yeah,
because he was hammered drunk down in the jungle in Cincinnati.
I was at home.
He wanted to go.
I did want to go to the game, but I did not. But
Joe it's Berm.
Glad to watch it.
Remember me?
Hubbard. Sam.
He remembers.
He does.
He got you tickets to the game, didn't he?
Not this one.
Hey.
No, I did not go to the game. I just sat at home, watched it with my wife, had a good time.
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice to watch. I'm telling you.
Watch football and not cover football?
Yeah, and here's the thing.
On the couch.
When Joseph Burrow is healthy, my goodness. He
pretty
is
good player.
Fairly excellent at what he does.
Yeah.
Joey B and CJ Stroud on Sunday. That's
That'd be fun.
a couple gunslingers.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun for CJ. I'm just going to tell you now. Lou Anarumo's defense will
You guys are feeling yourselves right now.
I mean, listen, they're way ahead of schedule, I think, of where people – the fact that they're above 500.
Yeah, I mean, they're
not going to complain about
They're
it.
at 500, but if there's one thing that I'm confident about Sunday is that CJ will play as good as he can on Sunday. But the Bengals defense is particularly good at confusing quarterbacks, and
Sam Hubbard is a golden god.
That too.
Who's your top pick for a Buckeye leaf, Berm?
I didn't listen to what you guys were saying.
It doesn't matter.
So,
Take whoever you want.
So obviously Travion Henderson is the guy who
You can't take him. We all did.
He provides
Really original pick.
He's
there.
so different. Okay, here's one.
I told Berm I was going to go with Trey before he came on here. He's acting like he didn't know.
I think that, and it's going to piss people off when I say it.
Oh, here we go.
So here we go.
Yes.
I thought that we saw a serious growth in Ryan Day as a head coach on Saturday by not trying to force the offense into doing something that wasn't available.
Why do you think that's going to piss somebody off? I don't understand.
Because people want Ohio State to just throw the ball 50 times and down the field all the time.
I've said that's his greatest attribute. And I actually talked to Ross Tucker before the game, and it's like, he goes, he doesn't lose again when he's supposed to win. I'm like, exactly. Now they point out like, well, he's lost to Clemson. Look at how he's lost to really good teams, but he's also beaten some of those. But probably the greatest thing is that I watched that Northwestern game last year, and it's like, hey, I know that we're supposed to win by 270 points, but we could try to do that and maybe lose, or we could just grind this thing out and find a way to win, which is what they did against Rutgers.
Yeah.
And that, to me, because you watched a Purdue game and an Iowa game where I feel like those games could have turned and been more like this Rutgers game, should they just kind of leaned into what the game actually ended up being.
It was a situation where, and he talked about it post game, and I think he was sort of making it light of it a little bit, and maybe taking a shot at himself, where he said that he thought Greg Schiano was trying to do something, knowing that Ryan wouldn't be patient enough to let it happen. And I think that people get mad about words like young. Like, he's still a young head coach. It's still only his 5th year as a head coach.
Look at that nice, thick black beard.
No,
I mean, he's like the pirate.
Yeah. It's dyed. It has to be, remember?
Has to.
Is this another conspiracy?
Has to.
Yeah, it's the
Is that
weirdest,
on Michigan message.
it's the weirdest thing people say about
Ryan
it.
also dyes his beard.
It's so weird. But I mean, I really do think that I watched on the drive back on Sunday, Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa, right?
Yep.
Two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well,
That's
one of them.
Two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Give me a break.
Either.
Are you a part of the Tagovailoa family? What is this advocation for Tua?
His numbers would say.
I'm not even going to engage in it. It's so stupid that you can refuse to say that people are good.
Tua is not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
He is in the top 33% of the league as far as quarterbacks that you would pick today on your team. That's indisputable.
Sure, if you've never watched football before.
Okay. Hey.
Do you not remember last year?
Unbelievable.
Do you not remember last year?
Drink some more.
How to fall, though.
Drink some more Haterade, and just let.
My point is,
was I right about Talia or not right about Talia?
Those two quarterbacks
can we answer
averaged 6 yards per attempt on Sunday. 6 yards per attempt for Patrick Mahomes and Tua.
It's not great.
Kyle McCord averaged just about 7 yards an attempt on Saturday. People are furious that Ohio State wasn't aggressive enough and so pushing the ball down the field. It is obviously you can't let the defense always dictate how you play your game. But when you're Ohio State, and this is a point I made on Snap Judgments after the show, you have the better players. You have the better players. There is at times when you can just say, hey, you know what? great job, Greg. You out-schemed us today, but my guys are still better than yours, and that's how you win. And I think that it shows a growth in Ryan Day as a coach that he's willing to just say, we'll take it. We'll take those 6 yards up the middle.
We'll throw a check down on you and see if you can tackle our guy as he's running.
Yes.
Like, that's fine.
And maybe
He
you do
might
it
take it
80% of the time, but that one time you don't. It's a 65-yard pass that ends up breaking your back.
Well, and that's what Romo used to do. He goes, people want to play Tampa 2 on us and do that. He's like, I'll check it down. He goes, our guy will break one, and that 8-yard turns into 20 one time, and then all of a sudden we're going a little bit now. Like
Well, that's like the interception Kyle threw. That's a perfect example
Yeah.
of those DBs. Everybody wants to fall underneath the corner route.
Oh, yeah.
You have a guy sitting 5 yards, 8 yards right
take
there on
it.
the sideline. Boop.
Just take it.
You go miss a tackle.
Yeah.
You know, you break a
that
tackle.
play, I mean, is particularly frustrating if you watch the replay because there are two guys on the right side.
No,
of the
it
route
was not good.
that were not anywhere near covered, and you know he was looking for Marv. But even that play, it's a ball that Ohio State practices all day long. That 1-inch throw that is what Ryan Day calls it, where they put the nets up,
Yep.
and he just didn't deliver the ball the way it needed to be delivered. But it's not a bad read by Kyle. It was just a bad throw by Kyle. But overall, I think it's a sign of just Ryan Day's continuing development as a head coach to not allow himself to be baited into doing things that are bad for the team, even though it may not feel as good watching it as you want. Maybe you're not feeling, this team is really cranking on all cylinders right now. I mean, number one, if G. Scott doesn't drop a pass on 3rd and 8, that would have been a 40 or 50-yard pass.
Oh,
play.
that thing would have creased the safeties.
gone.
It was
Gone.
It was, and then the fake punt or whatever happens the very next play, and that totally changed the tenor of the second quarter. The game was this close to being a 45-6 type.
I feel like that's been the case for a number of these games. Like there was the one tip ball that he had Marv on the in breaker, and if Marv catches it, it's probably a 30, 35. I mean, it's explosive gains. Like they've been inches away. And so hopefully these inches, we're storing them up to get them back later in the year.
But that's the debate.
They got to stockpile
them up.
That's the question or the frustration, I think, for people all year is that it has been this way nearly every week where, I mean,
The inches we need are everywhere.
They're
around us.
everywhere.
right, they're everywhere. And so they'll pop eventually. I just think that it was actually a really good day by Ryan Day.
They'll pop eventually, but you also have to say we're still winning by double digits when we're playing this way.
The
So
spread
calm
was
the
18 and a
hell
half.
down.
You won by 19.
You covered the spread. They gave up the most points they've given up all season against us, correct? 35 points, I believe, right? Michigan only scored 31 on them. And their offense is the best in the entire world.
History
So
of
it's
the
just
world.
like it's incredible.
And
so
they
we
knew
keep
what
winning.
Rutgers was calling, which was amazing. They could only score 31. So
the whole pick 6 there in the third quarter makes, I was like, I understand now how he knew that was coming. Wide receiver
got a
screen.
great jump
and he
on
jumped
that.
on it and just took it to the house. Like, okay.
I think what the point that Berm brings up is a good one. Like somehow this became flipped on Kyle McCord on Saturday, that it wasn't a strong performance and that he wasn't taking the shots downfield, where it just didn't I don't remember there being a lot of opportunities where there was one play in particular, an out to Marvin, that I thought that he read incorrectly and took a check down to Travion maybe too quickly. And then he had the poor throw. If we're evaluating Kyle McCord's ceiling based on 2 plays that he made out of 26 or 50 or 60, what are we even doing? I don't understand it.
Not to mention their protection hasn't been the greatest all year, and he's got a bad.
And he's got a bum ankle.
Yeah, he's got an ankle that's a little rough. So I'm like, hey, if the check down's there, like, do I want to hang on to it? Because what's the other narrative? He's been hanging on to the ball too long.
Yeah, he's lazy in the pocket, or he doesn't want to.
So get rid of I got rid of the football. Boom, I do. And by the way,
nobody's ever happy, right?
can't win for losing, man. Like, and that's it's brutal.
During the game, it pops up. He just broke a record, the most consecutive passes completed over 2 games, and and my wife's watching the game. She's like, "Oh, he's not playing." I'm like, "Yeah, read this." And then and then we look at this and think he's playing badly. And it's like, no, he's not. He's playing really good. He got added to the Davey O'Brien watch list. I mean,
he's been very efficient.
He's been efficient. Yeah, we haven't been winning us games, but he hasn't been losing them for us.
What's the other thing that we look at this Ohio State offense? They can't finish in the red zone. All right, well, Kyle dials up a perfect ball to G. Scott and a back shoulder throw to end it to Marvin.
Yeah.
He even had another one that was a great ball to Marvin, and I give the defender credit. I mean,
he
played
got his
really
hands
well.
in the
two plays before the
the one he caught, he knew he made sure he was catching it. Yeah.
But I mean, that couldn't have been thrown any better by
yeah.
Kyle. Like 100%. It was put right where it needed to be.
Yeah, I just think that sometimes, I understand why people are like, the standard is the standard, right? We talk about that all the time. We joke about
Wait
it.
until Nicole left before you
But
said that.
it is the expectation that the Ohio State quarterback is not just going to be able to win you games, but that the quarterback is the best player in the country, because that's what has been the case in
recently.
Last 4 years, 5 years.
And I look at a game like Saturday, and you think about the drop by Julian Fleming. Not a great ball by Kyle there. It's low, and you could have put that on another spot.
You expect our receiving.
You expect your receiver to
get
catch the ball. You have that drop. You have the G. Scott drop, which happened the next play, or not the next throw that he made, and then you have a deep shot to Marv, which he underthrows a little. He underthrew that one.
Oh yeah, let it fly.
But if G catches that ball, I just think that the entire narrative of that game is different. And I'm not trying to say, oh, this is G. Scott's fault. I'm not saying Kyle McCord is playing
just unlucky things
perfect.
the offensive has had happen.
It's just little inefficiencies that are causing what feel like major consternation among people. And I just don't think that it needs to be. I just don't think it needs to be turned into a de facto indictment of Kyle McCord every time the offense doesn't score, because I don't think you can always just point it at him.
Yep,
I
agree.
Now, certainly he can be better. He can be cleaner. He can not underthrow that ball to Marv on the deep shot. He can put the ball a little bit higher for Julian to catch it. But I don't know. I watched CJ Stroud.
Really hard to play quarterback.
But Burns, like you watched Joe Burrow last night. We all did. We saw them throw a quick bubble out where Burrow skipped it out there, and
it happened.
It happened.
You don't say, oh well, God, Joe Burrow didn't deserve $250
Small
million
hands
anymore.
Small hands. We knew this was going to happen.
Small hands.
I think
it's crazy how one throw just becomes like an indictment of an entire player.
I think the difference here is it seems to be a couple throws every game.
Yeah,
right. And it's just and it's frustrating, but then he, like I said earlier, comes back and makes the amazing throw, and it's like, all right, well,
it's just inconsistent play that has to figure it out. I mean, we watched CJ Stroud over the last 2 years, and he threw the ball, and he's doing it now in the NFL. So it's maybe this is who he is, but he throws it in a spot where it requires the wide receiver to make a great catch, but they just seem to do it a lot when he throws the ball. And I don't know if I mean, this is where you get into weird physics and all that. Like maybe Kyle doesn't throw as catchable a ball as CJ. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like it's not wobbly. It's not coming out of the hand all ugly. So I don't know. But I think how do you look at that game and complain that Kyle was the problem?
What if he had I don't know, a healthy Emeka Egbuka?
I'm the problem. It's me. Is that Kyle? Does they walk around when he?
No, I don't think anyone in the Woodies actually blaming him, Bob. I mean,
they all talk about how hard of a worker he is.
He said he'll stare directly in the sun, but never in the mirror.
I think Kyle McCord is not afraid of a mirror. I'm gonna
it's exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero.
What if you had a healthy Emeka Egbuka, a healthy Cade Stover, a Marvin Harrison Jr. who didn't have to wear protection on one of his wrists? I don't know. Didn't have a drop from
Cade Stover who didn't have a peg leg.
And a wrist issue.
Let's just, I don't know. I'm spitballing that stuff. I mean, the week before we were talking about the deep drop by Julian Fleming and Travion Henderson, and the interception wouldn't have happened. I'm not saying these things just to erase them from history.
100%.
But why do you think it feels like this Ohio State team has more injuries than Michigan or Georgia or Florida State? And Florida State played out their top two receivers on Saturday, and
Georgia doesn't have Brock Bowers.
But I mean that's one player. It's obviously the best player, but it seems like
they had injuries. Lad McConkey was out.
Yeah, do you know
Lad
their whole
McConkey was out?
Yes, I know
for
their
a
whole
while.
injury report because there's actually matters.
I think it's just you're probably more in tune with what's going on, and it's a guy here, a guy there. Now they've been hit at the safety position fairly hard, so it's like all of a sudden now you've got some young guys going in there. But the good news is, I mean, most of these injuries aren't very severe, so I feel like by the time the final regular season game occurs, that it should be at relatively full strength.
It occurs.
I got canceling that game.
They can't cancel that game.
Don't you think Purdue should have just not played on Saturday? I swear to you, and I know it sounds
I think
crazy.
Walters was debating whether that was the case.
I think that they should have shown up to the stadium, gone out for warm-ups, done all their stuff, and then just not played. I was talking, and I want your opinion on this.
Maybe went like the was it the Cal USC went and just sat in the middle of the field?
Protested before the game. The sit-in, yeah.
I want your opinion on this, and this is a conversation I had with somebody in the football program on Saturday. I didn't bring this up on the drive home, because I wanted to save it for this.
It's a long tease.
Yeah, so
it's a long drive.
This person said that under the previous head coach, that they believed Ohio State would not play this game on November 25th. That he would have said there's no way we're doing this because of the flat out assault on the integrity of the sport.
I don't believe that. I think he would have been more likely to start spying back on them than to
not said anything at all,
yeah.
and just started spying back on them.
I don't believe that the competitor that he is, I don't believe any way that he would be saying.
I don't know.
I think he would take it as a challenge.
You look at how kind of everything went down and ended. I think that there is a chance, like, all right, you're going to cheat like this, and this is what you're.
Yeah, he'd already beaten him 6 times.
Yeah,
like he
we're done.
Had nothing to prove. Like,
no.
Is it a situation where the Big Ten needs its coaches to act publicly as?
I think Ryan Walters was starting to do that
I know,
on Thursday.
But that's it. One guy, right? Like, do the coaches need to be vocalizing publicly what they're saying privately?
So here's the balance of that is you don't want to sit there and look like someone who complains.
Right. You don't want to be a crybaby. I get it.
Which is, the crap with Georgia last year, why we chose not to say anything due to administration and maybe quelling some of that.
What thing with Georgia?
Yeah, exactly. But really more, I think, is and I'd say this is with youth coaching, it's whatever. You don't want to point your guys to having excuses for different things, and you want to keep your focus on the game and getting prepared. Like, they're not even playing Michigan this week, so talking about that publicly, it almost comes off as a distraction because then they're like, well, hey, your coach said this, so now what are your thoughts? Like, if Ryan doesn't really comment on it that much.
Yeah, but even if he doesn't, he's still being asked about it.
I know.
And that's the other part. What are you doing on a Friday night? Trying to anybody ask about Ryan Day about Michigan the day before he's playing Rutgers on the road. What do you expect him to say?
Yeah, we're focusing on the game tomorrow. Like,
because
if we lose this game, then that game matters less.
But his body language was bad.
Because it's just exhausting dealing with this, wondering probably what the conclusion is going to look like. Because I fairly certain talking to some guys around the conference, like the other Ohio State is upset about this, but they're not the only school. I think all 13 other schools are fairly in lockstep with, if you're not going to do anything, then why shouldn't we just go do this as well? Yeah. And so when I have to tell my kids 10 years from now, hey, what were you doing, coach? Well, you know what? We're flying drones over their practice fields because you know what? One team chose to do this blatantly and out in the open for multiple years, and they chose not to do it. We're going to wait and see. Wait and see what? Wait and see all the information we gave you 3 weeks ago and intermittently before that?
You're either going to discipline it or you're going to allow it.
Permit it, you promote it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the bottom line.
I think it's just hard for the public because we don't really know what's real and what's.
I think everything that's out there is pretty much real.
Well, you think it is,
but
it's also
there's always a chance. Also, only the only evidence that they have.
Exactly. There's probably more.
I mean,
if Michigan, here's the thing. I would tell Michigan's president, Apollo Antonono, whoever,
Santa Claus.
Yes, whoever their president is up there, who came out, just let it play out. The facts, you'd want to, see where this goes. The investigation. If you have evidence exonerating yourself, please show everybody. Yeah, because that evidence doesn't exist. When Central Michigan, they accused them of having Connor Stallions on the sideline. He goes, the president, AD, we're going to look into this, and then within 24 hours, you didn't have an answer as to who that was. It's because there was no answer because that was him.
It's the same thing that Michigan's doing. They can't figure out what they can lie about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, they're trying to figure out a way to justify it, and they cannot because they're guilty. They're guilty. They're guilty. They're guilty.
And it's a big deal.
Jim Harbaugh does listen to Antihero as he drives around.
I mean,
he jams that in that yellow Corvette.
It's all about the cheat.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, everything out there, if they had evidence, this isn't true. Here, put it out there publicly. 100%. Try to sway consumers.
Instead of trying to say, well, you know what the real problem is? Someone was investigating us.
I know,
cheating. That should be against the rules.
I'm like, why should that be against the rules?
You think I'm cheating and you're looking into me? How dare you?
It's incredible, isn't it?
Hey, dude, I mean, your wife hired a private eye and caught you walking out of a hotel with a hooker. Hey, you know what?
I can't
believe she hired a private eye. Hey, maybe you should have been walking out of the hotel with a hooker.
Guess we both spent money.
Wow. Money we shouldn't have.
I can't. Oh, my gosh. And here's the other thing. And I was a little bit on this, and I'm not sure exactly how to feel about it. Because they're like, well, you don't want to punish the players. I'm like, well, I'll say this. The players, they didn't probably go seek this out. And I don't know how you would tell your coach, well, we probably shouldn't be doing this. Mm-hmm. But the players 100% knew where all that information was coming from.
And they
knew what it meant.
They were acting on it and in concert. We saw everything on the sideline.
And they benefit.
And they're directly benefiting from it. Yeah. And Berm made a great point, so I'm going to steal it from him right now.
Damn it.
When everyone says, well, you can't punish the current players.
Who are you going to punish, the future players?
The other 13 teams, every single player is being punished.
Yes.
You have 1 versus 13. Berm made that point. I stole it from him. But that's ridiculous. Yeah. They are the ones that need to be punished. You can't force the rest of the league to carry the loads. CJ Stroud, sorry, man. Everyone blamed you for losing the last 2 years in the game, even though we played through one with sickness.
Not to mention that they tried to crush your narrative monetarily with him. Of you can't win big games and this and that.
Heisman, It cost him the Heisman Trophy. It cost them the Big Ten. It cost them a shot at the national championship. It's wild. I mean, think about everything that was wrapped up into those last 2 games and everything that had happened in the series before that. Mm-hmm. It is stark. It is ridiculous.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
Say it, baby.
The concern or the lamenting, if Ohio State prompted this investigation, you know what I mean?
Hey, let's go.
Who cares? Number one,
dropping his own profanity in the show.
You can't put the blame on someone else for that. Number two, Ohio State is as directly impacted by this as anyone in the country. They are directly impacted far more than anyone else in the country. The entire shift.
Why? Because they were scouted 8 times?
Well, and not even there's a number of times that this happened in their games, but the narrative that has changed about Ohio State around the country in the last 2 years because of this has changed everything about the way the Ohio State program is now viewed nationally. Because Michigan had to cheat to get an advantage over them, and now Ohio State
was going to beat Ohio State or die trying.
Now Ohio State is now the Buckeyes are soft. Now this it's just
Exhibit A, Your Honor.
It's unbelievable that the focus is who started the investigation. It doesn't matter. There's no evidence that Ryan Day did, but if he did, great. Ohio State fans should be celebrating.
Because no one else would do anything.
No one else had the testicles to stand up and be, hey, this doesn't seem right.
Here's the other thing. Are we positive that this isn't still going on?
I mean it's not even that. When does the advantage stop being?
It matter.
Because they were already scouting Penn State.
Yes.
They already watched Purdue 4 times.
I mean, if I'm James Franklin, I'm ticked off. You know what? You say I can't win big games. Well, you know what?
Unbelievable.
I lost Ohio State, but Michigan was reading our mail. So, that's the other game. If I win one of these, then maybe it changes the narrative around me. They're another team that could have been right there.
Like that. So, I don't know. They were clearly preparing for Penn State and Ohio State. Connor, the man, had credit card receipts for that game. He had both sides of the stadium he was coming in for, so you know that they're trying to get ready for that one.
And Ryan Walters
what happened in the second half of the game?
Ryan Walters said they have proof that he was at, or
he said
his family member was at, somebody was in the seats he bought, recording the game at the Ohio State Purdue game.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Where's the evidence? We have the evidence.
That's what he said. Yeah.
We've given it to you.
We have it.
I've seen it. That's what all these coaches say. We've been the ones that have submitted it.
They're like, give us your thoughts. He goes, well, they're not thoughts. They're facts. We know this.
Give us your thoughts.
We know this happened here.
This isn't a thought, dude. I've watched the tape. I've seen it.
Sit down. I've got a story to tell you.
I mean, that's the. Let's just let this play out. The due process. There's called there's a thing,
the
folks.
League trade signs. Who cares? That's not the same thing, people.
It's called summary judgment. And your brother can tell you about this. The attorney, ask him what summary judgment means. It means when the evidence is so overwhelming, it's like, we're
not even going to do anything.
We're not even going to waste everybody's time. Yeah. I'm either going to throw this out because there's nothing there. Yeah, where in this case, it's like, there's everything here. We're just going to throw that out and boom, here it is.
Yeah.
They don't even, to take any steps, all they need is Connor Stallions. Period.
Yeah, they don't need the other stuff.
That's
enough.
That's against the rule by itself.
Yep.
And there's way more evidence than just that. But they already have enough to take the step to say that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have violated that NCAA rule.
On the
Hands
sideline
down.
of another
Central
team
Michigan.
with a credential.
All the coach had
in
to
their
say was,
gear.
"Oh, that's Jimmy. He works down the hallway. Here, go get Jimmy for us, guys."
Yeah.
Someone goes,
Instead, he says,
Well, that's the
sign stealer guy.
That's the frustration on the Central Michigan thing. Like Central Michigan had this brought up to them and tried to obfuscate and tried to say, no, it was actually this guy or this guy. Yeah. And then they were given another photograph that said, well, here's that guy standing next to me. So how's that possible? And then, oh wait, maybe okay, we're just going to investigate.
Yeah. When he wants his name, I'll give him this. At least they didn't put his name on the credential list. Well,
we don't know what name was on it. That would solve this whole problem. If there's one photo of what the name actually says on that credential, then this investigation could be figured out.
Ron Mexico.
It's Joey Freshwater.
It's truly amazing to me, though, the lengths that some of these people are going.
And the girths.
The lengths and the girths that they're going to protect Jim Harbaugh. Why would Jim McElwain continue to have any loyalty whatsoever?
Yeah. I did you guys a solid, and now they're going to fire me.
He's pretending like he doesn't know who Connor Stallions is when they worked in the same building. Hey, sign stealer guy. Hey, Jim, he's on your sideline. You walked right past him 15 different times.
And you just admitted that he steals signs.
And,
and you know it.
Exhibit. Yeah, let me write down Exhibit B here. Right,
maybe he was hoping Connor.
Guy,
maybe it was a little.
Connor.
Well, they have a thing called trade in kind.
It was a bar.
Maybe he was going to have him come on. He was going to go to the Bobcats, the Rockets coming up.
Yeah. It was hey, Connor, you're off tonight. We could use some help. Why don't you swing by?
You know Michigan State signs, obviously. Yeah. Come help us out. And you can wear your special spy glasses. They're super cool.
We got a whole locker full of gear here. We're ready to go.
It's a night game. Make sure you bring your
You already called EQ. Glasses. They got whatever you need.
If you need to spruce up the goatee a little bit, that's fine. Do whatever you do.
We got a full makeup artist.
No, dude. The one video where he hides his face, he tries to get out of the way because the play came to him.
Connor, are you still wearing
so guilty.
A schmedium? Or do we... What size coaching gear do you need?
Someone in Michigan told me they're like, and so 80% of the guys in Michigan look like. I'm like, that's fine, but just tell me who it is. If you can produce a name of anyone who isn't already on the sideline somewhere else.
What a manhunt it is. Hey, rest in peace to Connor Stallion's coaching career, though. It was a legendary run, and it got 2 wins in the Ohio State series, so good for him.
Here's the thing. Do we know? Who's to say that he won't rise like a phoenix from the ashes?
Yeah, probably be on the Ravens staff.
Exactly.
Maybe they fired him.
Will hire him next week.
Well, maybe they fired him early so they can get ahead of it, so he could become the next head coach.
Ooh, bring him back in.
Hey,
plot
they didn't
twist.
fire him. He resigned.
No, that's true.
For the good of the program. He didn't want to be a distraction. He resigned. Last Friday in the afternoon. Before before Tony Petitti arrived at Michigan, because he just didn't want to have to worry about being a distraction.
Right. Michigan didn't actually take any accountability for this and make any actions. Connor Stallions had to do it on his own. My mistake.
Yeah, he good soldier, fell on the grenade. And
sometimes they give you the pistol with one shot left in it. You got to figure out what to do with that.
He fired it. He made the choice. And it's going to be absolutely insane in Ann Arbor in a couple of weeks, but there are still games. We could have talked a little bit more about Michigan State, but I think we paid just enough attention.
We did. To the Central Michigan State game.
Yeah, we did.
They were in there.
And so the Spartans are coming on Saturday night.
Can we talk to Connor to get the signs for Michigan State?
Oh, we could really kill him.
Ryan Day could really go deep into the weeds. Bring him in as a consultant for the week.
$10.99, of course.
Yeah, just all cash, baby. That's another lesson for you, Connor. Like, we'll help you out with the next manifesto. Pay in cash if you're going to cheat, bud. It's super easy. Venmo? What are we doing?
It's the Michigan Amex, dude. He's getting those points.
Well, yeah, expense report. What a dummy. Anyway, thanks for
I need the points.
joining us in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. Thanks to Nicole Cox for having us. Don't forget, Appetizer Thursday is mac and cheese bites. Register. Running out of opportunities to register for the Roosters Buckeye Bowl giveaway. Thanks to Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and Jeremy Birmingham for their thoughts. I am Austin Ward. We're going to be right back here next week to talk about whatever happens against Ohio State and Michigan State on Saturday
Celebrate
night.
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day Friday, $10. Go get it at Roosters. Then go watch Ohio State Saturday night somewhere, anywhere if you can't be in the Horseshoe. Roosters is the best place for that. Talk to you next week.